Hello and welcome to another coaching video, and in this one we have an Emerald Nunu versus an Emerald Jarvan. And yes, thanks to Agurin, everybody is playing Jarvan. It's really tough to find a game without it. But not only that, we are playing the Spear of Shojin rotational build that we're seeing a lot of, so we'll see if he goes for that. But King Nidog did make that tech a long time ago as well, so worth noting that shout out. Now, the Nunu is going to start here on the red buff, go down to his Krugs. Now, you're normally used to the Sivir icon, I cannot get over it, it's just so bad. You're normally used to a level 2 sort of cheese from a Nunu, and I think when you have that ability to do those things, when you don't do it, mental warfare, right? So the Jarvan obviously gets leashed on the bottom side. Let's see what he does as well, because I'm kind of curious about why he's going blue Grump into the red. This is an archaic clear. It's not one I recommend anyone to do anymore. There's just way better 3-camp variants, specifically Red Krugs Raptors. So let's see exactly what his intentions seem to be, because obviously snowballing Fiora against the Mundo is always good. The Xerath is something that's quite, OP, strong, irritating, frustrating, annoying, tilting, and long range. So if we can shut him down with an early gank, that's great, but there's no reason you have to go blue Grump red, right? You're effectively wasting a lot of the mana juice you're getting, and he's half HP already, suboptimal clear, right? So we can easily just do the Red Krugs Raptors, still gank this, right? Well-positioned, burn a flash easily. Then we can chase down and gank this lane also, because they have shove, and if they don't have shove, you could fall back to your blue side. A lot of options. And the Nunu's the big question mark, and I understand why we might want to get out ahead of him, but you never know exactly what the Nunu's going to do. Is he going to look for an invade at half HP? Nah, I don't know. I mean, I like the concept of, hey, let's gank the mid lane. But you don't want to waste 7, 8, 9, you don't want to waste 10 seconds, because that's what Xerath does. That E is absolutely the most irritating ability for any melee champion. So if you're going to do this, right, you want to ensure that you can do your red side quadrant. You can get a gank up quickly and snappily, and if you cannot, you just shadow down and gank this lane, and then you can fall back to your blue side, right? You're not wasting time. Now, you've done blue Grump, red, you're crossed over mid lane, now you're back on the bottom side. Your wolf camp is up, but nothing else is up. Nothing to counter jungle from the Nunu. No Grump until 4 minutes 20. And for those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Virkayu, founder of Virkayu.gg. I've helped tens of thousands of junglers reach their ranked goals from gold all the way up to challenger, and I make this content to help you climb with jungle 10 times faster. If you want help implementing this information into your own game, I have a free jungle improvement resource and a dedicated program, including jungle courses, weekly classes, private videos seen nowhere else, a full backlog of coaching VODs, and more, and that is linked directly below. Stuck doing nothing. So when you put yourself in a position on the map where you look at it and you're like, what do I do now? That's because your early route is typically absolutely astronomically terrible, and we have the full clearing Nunu, but fortunately the full flash here onto the Sivir. We're focusing on the Jarvan here as he tries to get the kill in the end. He's taking a full bunch of minis, except they're hard focused on the turret now because of that change we had a few months ago, and in the end he might also die. So mechanically, let's have a look here again. Right, we're going to go up here and use our W to absorb some of the Annie's damage here. We just straight up don't hit the EQ, which probably gives you all the stuff you need. And yeah, just terrible. Overall terrible. Now, the thing is, right, as Sivir's alive and Aurelion Sol moves on down, the Nunu's full clearing and taking this thing up here. He can go ahead and take these things because he knows you were leashed here. He can also just click on you as you're crossing down and say, 12 CS, 2 buffs. Raptors and Krugs are available, so he should go take those. Now, while Jarvan is sitting there and Sivir dies to the Ashe and they kill each other, who really cares anymore? Don't waffle. Don't waffle, sir. Why are we waffling? Toward it as well, you got to track this Fiora. The Fiora is the big thing you got to track here. Now, we're going into Aurelion Sol, who just roamed. Whew, there's a lot going on here. This is an Emerald game? Really? Okay. Couple things that we need to revisit. Most important things. Okay, look. You're in Nunu, you're full clearing, you're watching this, you're watching every lane, you're watching everything, you're keeping your eyes on the minimap, you're staring at it, you're staring at it, you're staring at it, you're like, okay, this is cool stuff, this is good stuff. Alright, I'm full clearing, obviously we have, that's even worse. We actually had vision of the Jarvan from the Ashe, which we didn't even talk about because we're just curious and confused about what's actually going on. But the most important thing is, the Fiora moves down here, and then we'll go back up. We see this, we hope she isn't invading our blue, she isn't, she goes back up. So we 99% know there's some sort of ward here, right? 100% we know there's some sort of ward. So what happens is all of this plays out, and you as Nunu should be taking this and immediately going to this and immediately going to this and then looking at this. Why? Because if this lane roams, in theory, unless this guy is Bing shilling, let's have a look if he's Bing shilling. He is actually Bing shilling, all right? it's very common in this particular case to see a lot of mid laners auto-shove back. Because what happens is they now get denied minions. This guy's already pre-chunked. He's going to use a lot of resources trying to get those minions under turret. And the Xerath can now maybe have a good base, cheeky base. Or if it's a roaming mid laner, which I do enjoy, you can goon squad a little bit. You can do a goon dive early. Would you necessarily do that in this MMR? Maybe. Depends if you're duo with the mid laner or not. Kick something on the floor. So, either way, I would not be going for the gank because the Xerath has the leverage of the mana and the HP. The Aurelion Sol is going to be cautious and quiet, and we know that all of this is available because we saw the Jarvan, we saw the Jarvan, we saw the Jarvan, right? So there's no real reason for us not to go counter jungling. And all we're doing now is waffling around. And we didn't pay attention to the Fiora, so even though we think, haha, repeat ganks, haha, the problem with that is, right, on your repeat ganks, they see you both times. Because we didn't pay attention to the warding potential of the Fiora, and this is again, you know, we spoke about it in the gold coaching. We always speak about it in the gold coachings. There just isn't this concept of denial at a high level, tracking at a high level in Emerald into Diamond. And that's the big difference, man. If you want Diamond, this is the shit that gets you going. Really, it is. Because now the Jarvan is looking at holding, he's got nothing. Absolutely nothing going for him. Now, the Sivir got kill. The Nunu is just kind of floating around, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of game planning from the Nunu or the Jarvan other than, hey, let's gank some stuff. And, you know, when you jungling devolves into this, which is why I'm not always a fan of Riot talking like this in those dev updates, like, jungle impact is too much, or ganking bot lane too much. They shouldn't be. Like, the optimal jungling here is that they should not be doing this, right? It makes absolutely no sense to just, okay, this here makes sense, right? Low HP target, we get the kill, no flash, obviously. But in general, right, there shouldn't be 18,000 ganks by 5 minutes with zero optimization of counter jungling and sequencing, and yeah, that's my 2 cents on that. So, jungle is obviously strong, but when it's played like this, it's not really. That's why a challenger jungler or smurf jungler in this MMR will just rinse them, right? And it doesn't have to be with ganks. Like, I'll just let the Jarvan gank. I couldn't give 2 shits, right? I'm up 20, 30 CS, right? I have another lane that's getting ahead by proxy. I don't have to worry about this at all. Xerath does move on over with his... we got the passive proc on the Xerath, so we get the assist on the... That's funny. Cheeky free KP from both these junglers, right? You got the flag, you got the passive. So, now we're still on the field here. Again, going for the Aurelion Sol. You know, eventually you're going to have to learn that that's not actually the easiest lane to gank. Xerath and Aurelion Sol and Nivea, these are boring, irritating champions, right? Think about it differently. If you're going to spam gank bot lane and get them fed, why'd you full clear and then spam gank mid lane first, right? And if you're going to full clear down, or up, whatever it may be, in this case up, and someone skips out a whole quadrant of camps, see, I'm stuttering because I'm like completely, like, why didn't you take the Raptors and the Krugs? Huge possibility for him. And now we haven't gone back to base. We show ourselves going up, so the Jarvan says, cool, free ride. Because I know you don't have it. So the Jarvan's doing a good job here. They're pushing and shoving by themselves. And this is the problem, right? Everyone's like, well, jungle is so strong and bot lane's about avoiding ganks. Well, you know, you gotta track too when you play bot lane. I play bot lane as well. You gotta track, right? And yeah, the Nunu's being a bit of an idiot, but the Jarvan's just playing off of what you're doing, which is perma shove without thinking. What the Nunu's doing, which is just perma gank without thinking. So in essence, try thinking. There you go. Best advice. That'll be $500, please. Rates have gone up, inflation, for that advice. So, we get rooted, and here he comes, yep. This is just way too long by the Nunu, by the way, staying out. Goblin mode, hoarding gold for no particular reason. Yep. Hey, who could have foreseen this unforeseen gank? My goodness. See, that's why I get irritated by it, because, you know, and I know you guys get irritated by it as well. But if the Jarvan is doing this, right? If he is doing this, you as Nunu, even though you haven't gone back to base yet, like, you should be lapping this guy with clears. You should have 3 quadra control. You should have ganked top lane at least once or twice. You are translating and counter ganking the whole map. You are not blindly spam ganking a lane that's difficult to kill, right? Well, she died in the end anyway. But the point more so is, you know, her flash is just coming off cooldown, but that's something that we could have abused. We could have shut down the Fiora. You don't have to match the Jarvan. He spam ganked bot lane, you don't have to spam gank bot lane either. What you can do is just deny him, gank this lane once or twice, just ensure you get in these camps, and, you know, pay attention to this if you can do something. Otherwise, sequence again, you know, you get the Herald, you get the dive, what I think is that the Nunu has wasted time with suboptimal ganking choices. When he could have based, he could have counter-jungled the red side quadrant of the Jarvan twice, and he should have at least at minimum 20 to 25 CS lead, while the Mundo should be really giga smurfing on the Fiora from your ganks, right? And the problem is obviously staying out this long is a problem. Pick it up and run. The ward is pointless, Fiora. Now, oh, it's not pointless. You did just get ganked, but you press tab, you see the guy hasn't based yet, right? So from Jarvan's perspective, right now, go to his blue. Because this guy is showing a tendency to be a goblin, to stick it out way too long. So why don't we just, you know, take our item advantage and say, yo, what's up? Now, obviously, Xerath can rotate and Mundo can rotate, but with Jarvan, man, like, you can get up very, very quickly. See, now he's doing it, but he's doing it after his red. If he'd done it when I said, hey, we'd be in a good position. Now, what he's doing is scanning in the river just to go kill the Mundo. Remember, the Mundo has ultimate up, guy has flash. You gotta pay attention to the passive here. If he's got the passive, which he does, you can't EQ him, right? Gank assessment. Gank assessment. Gank assessment. Really is the big lesson here. Mid lane is all bottom lane. Okay, we got 7 sperm shots coming out from the Xerath for some particular reason, although not quite yet, but yeah. Well, 1 million ult procs now. Really just doesn't feel good. Champion is, I think people are starting to realize how busted this champion is. And in pro comp, it'll be about the draft. In a Xerath comp, absolutely insanely strong. But in general, people just don't use it properly, play around it properly. But really, it is one of the most powerful, you don't get to do anything champions. And I think the range is also just disgusting. The mana reclamation, his mana passive that he gets back, that which gives him sustainability and lane. You know, his range advantage, the semi-global advantage, is just so much stuff that this champion has. Also remember, please, that does 1,000 true damage at this point. So ensure you always have that up for a Q smite, because you got a bit of animation. So don't smite Q. Q smite on Nunu, right? You press the Q and you smite in the animation, which means it's instantaneous. So you got 1,000 plus 900, you get 1,900 giga damage to use, and that'll become 1,200 as well. So nothing should outsmite you, even a Lux ult. Well then. Still not quite sure what I'm witnessing. Whew, that was close. Face rush proc, nice. Run fast, little Nunu monster thing. There's no real... I don't know. What's the angle here? The angle here is that sometimes in Emerald, you're gonna have games like these, and you're gonna say, what the living hell am I doing? What is going on in this game? How could I have carried this as a Nunu, for example, or even as a Jarvan? The Jarvan, let's take him as the bad jungler because he is, because he did blue grump red and crowd surf to the bottom lane and just spam gank bottom lane 18 times. The Nunu's only up 6 CS on this guy. Right now he's fallen back to farming a little bit, which again is okay. But usually it's only okay because they don't get punished enough. So if I'm the Nunu here and you are basically saying, look, I don't want to gank this early. This is kind of a tough gank, you know, this is whatever. I kind of want to get level 4 and then kind of see where I can gank best. Maybe get some river control. That's fine, right? Like you can do that on Nunu, no stress. But as soon as you see the Jarvan down here, man, like all of this should be gone, flash should be burned. Now you can go back down the river and maybe you can gank the Irillion Soul if it's shoved up, right? Oof. These are the things, really? We just saw him use it. We just saw him use it 4 times. 6 times, not actually 7 times. That's the meme. And in the meantime, hey look. Flows. Nunu CC, passive, movement speed, attack speed. You know, I'm happy ganking Mundo a little bit. Now you might be saying, but we're meant to gank bot lane. No, you don't have to gank bot lane only. And honestly, look at the gold amount here. Sera's at 5.3, the Ashe is at 4.3. That's a 1,000 gold differential, which is not actually that big. Could be way bigger. Honestly, probably should be way bigger. But it isn't, because it's still Emerald. That's the truth at the end of the day. Now, the Xerath is doing waste of time. Just shove this and get plates. Like, there's no point. You're not stealing a dragon from a jungler and Lux, so just push and shove and deny. Irillion Soul's gone top lane to hold this one here. He has used his TP. Fiora is now, instead of going to the mid lane, going top lane, which is weird. She should go to the mid lane. You guys can swap later. The Jarvan is now stealing our red again. Hey, who knew he would do this? You can't actually get away with this, even with Smite, because it's already at 1,000, so... I mean, he's queuing way too soon. Like, you could just queue later on, but I guess it doesn't make too much of a difference other than, you know, fluidity and quickness, which I guess matters to most of us. There's a joke there. So, Ashe is pushing up this on the bottom lane here. We've got good deep vision. Aurelion Sol catches the mid lane. Now you're looking at this and you're saying, well, how could Nunu have carried this game? Straight up, I've explained it. Now you're looking at this and you're like, okay, how would you have carried this game as Nunu? Well, first and foremost, based upon the bottom lane matchup, I would have probably looked to gank there early, especially if Jarvan was known to start on the bottom side, because I would anticipate the guy was doing a blue side quadrant going up, and he might look to, reloop back down, after the first clear. So I'd want to show up here earlier if that's the lane I wanted to gank. If I decided to full clear, I would have waited for the Jarvan to show to assess, which is in theory what you can do as the Jarvan as well, right? And Jarvan does it a lot better, also, especially considering the Nunu's typically a level 2, level 3 ganker, at this stage in history. But we have the Xerath roaming to the bot lane again. Nunu's now going to east on the Jarvan. Aurelion Sol's going to press the magic button. We're chasing it into a chokehold point. And you're looking at these fights and you're saying, well, what could you do in these situations, Virkayu? Well, you don't walk into a chokehold point when you are witnessing this stuff, right? This is the stuff you got to be watching. Because we know Jarvan's in the area because we're tracking and we have this, right? You have all of this information. We knew he was there. You see the mid laners move on down. So this is something you should be tracking. So instead of having a fat chat about the early game, let's just talk about the current events. This is known, right? He goes in when he shouldn't. Big tank issue. Don't do that. Don't go in when you shouldn't. Aurelion Sol collapses. Now they're in a chokehold. Ashe is really far behind catching the minion wave. Xerath is having to go the long way around. It's just not a good fight. So as we go to the top lane as well, we can basically summarize this game from the jungle perspective of the Nunu as what happens when we make the wrong decision at every moment when there's a Nexus event, like an important event where we need to make the right decision. And the thing is here, this is why top lane is rough sometimes, because you snowball this lane and then that shit happens. But the point is, if we had committed ourselves to this, right, once a Jarvan showed us early clear, this doesn't exist anymore because we used our hair properly up here and we really giga shoved hardcore. We also counter jungled again and now we have better angles of approach to kill the lane. So, at each moment, bad ganking assessment, each time spam ganking lanes he didn't need to, ganking at wrong time, missing the vision wards, missing counter jungling opportunities. Not really going equal and opposite enough with the Jarvan. When you spam ganking bottom lane, can we spam gank somewhere else? Can we counter jungle somewhere else? If the result is, can we just do our own camps? Big problem. And this is the big theme in the Ogurin vs. Dante's video I just put on the main channel, right? Talking about how you can have these terms proactive, reactive, and things like that. But it's always about your decision making in the moment, right? One good decision followed by another good decision in each moment. Because even if you make, say, the wrong decision here, and you end up here, whereas if you made the right decision here, you'd end up here. Doesn't matter. This doesn't matter anymore. You're down here now. Loser's bracket of decision making. You can still make it to the end with good decisions subsequently, right? But if you keep making the wrong decision, eventually the loser's bracket ends because the enemy team hits your damn nexus and you lose. And I think that's a great way to think about decision making. So if you're worried, hey, look, I'm making bad decisions, here and there, can I still win games? Yes. That's why I don't cancel coaching sessions after a bad first 5 minutes, because there's always ways to come back into games in these MMRs, always, right? And it's important to know that, right? You don't want to be like an LCS or pro team that only scrims the first 8 minutes and then reloads every time they lose it. You want to play to late game. You want to play to mid game. You want to learn how to become good at coming back in those scenarios, which most people just don't do. Now, again, the bottom lane tri-bush fight, right? We missed the Aurelion Sol moving, all right? We going for the fight. Now you're saying, well, we didn't talk about it. No, we didn't, because I'm talking to you. I'm telling you about general things, right? We're watching this and having a coaching session about decision-making at this particular stage. Mundo does show up here, which is great. He still has his TP as well. Huge run by the Mundo. So this here now is like, okay, this fight was not so good. This fight was also not technically so good, but the guy I got fed with my ganks shows up and makes a difference. Important. Will start happening in Emerald. Does happen in Emerald, so it's lie otherwise. Now we actually are able to do quite a bit in terms of shutting people down. Now we actually have the Herald available, so we can actually do a bit of a shove here. In terms of second Herald usage in a losing game, I like this. As long as we can get out. I like that. That's huge. Absolutely huge. Ideally, first Herald is for plates, maybe taking a turret first, right? If you can get a double drive, by that I mean like get a second hit on a tier 2 with your first Herald, that would depend on your comp. Like, do we really want to push the map that early, right? You got to think about that. But the second Herald, definitely. You want at least 2 turrets with it, ideally. Now, sometimes you're only going to use it for pressure points. So like, hey, imagine this dragon is spawning right now, and their whole team is up and you have the Herald. You could use this Herald to shove this a little bit, forcing them to hold, which gives you time to do the dragon you can quickly ditch, right? Here, though, we just use it to get turrets, to get gold, to get map pressure, that's it, because we're losing. And we really feel like we need to get ahead, and from those plays, from those shutdowns, we are now literally ahead, by the way. Mundo goes back to the top lane here. He does use his TP, which means we probably lose a bit of dragon tempo. And that is the downside. I would have preferred him not to do that, but, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. I mean, I think his rotation to the fight there is the most important thing. And even though you guys want to go for this dragon, just don't, right? No Mundo. No Mundo. So think about it. Right now, despite all the mistakes we've had, if we make the good decisions from this point onward, can we win? Boom, boom, boom. Golden pocket, quite a substantial amount, but I feel strong, guys, because I'm Nunu. Okay. Take all of this. You know they're going for dragon. Take this, take this. Shadow your Mundo, who, if he was building my build, he'd have Titanic Hydra, who could actually really smack this, but he could still smack this anyway. So the idea is, okay, look, we just got a whole bunch of cool shit. They're going to be driven to this dragon right now. So what I'm going to do is just take my camps. Don't even really want to actually take your camps, to be honest with you. If you look at the timers, let's have a look. Ideally, we're going back to base anyway with this much gold, just to get some reset, but you don't have to necessarily. Yeah, I think at this particular stage, looking at the map, no, I think you could go Wolf's Gromp Scuttle. I mean, it's a little greedy because you kind of want to go Scuttle Raptor's Krugs to shadow him early, technically. So my instincts say do that, but my greed says, can I not do all of it? Sometimes we have to think like that. And in losing games, I do tend to get a little greedy with this stuff. I'm like, yes, yes, yes. Watch and observe. Okay, yes, yes. Because I want to ensure that the Jarvan's actually going down. I want to ensure that the enemy team is actually going for it. And the Wolves and the Gromp buy me the time just to observe. Because sometimes teams with leads don't always go for those dragons first because they don't have to. And again, when we say with leads here, we're talking about the Jarvan, the ADC, the support. Our Xerath is Giga Juiced, our top lane is Giga Juiced, and we're okay. Like, we're not amazingly fed, but we're solid, right? And I think that's because of our spam ganking mid lane. As terrible as it was, it does still do stuff. And for top lane, we definitely had the winning impact, right? So this was okay ganking, but we could have done less ganks more effectively while taking also things from the Jarvan. So we're stronger than the Jarvan now by quite a bit. So you see how that adds together? 3 strong versus 2 strong. You see this, you know this, you realize this, but we're not even here, right? We're here, we're taking this, we're taking this, we're taking this, we're going to go and kill and fist this with the Mundo. Like, he's not running away because we have all of this under control. We're leaving deep vision here as well, control what's in pocket and everything like that. And now we're shoving this. And if they go down here or split up and take a long fight against your team, we just whack-a-mole this out and shove it up. Macro pressure. Yes, you can do that as Nunu. And, you know, again, Mundo is decent, and 20% attack speed is still good on Mundo. Yep, that's what I would have done. Now instead, we contest it when we shouldn't have. We go back to base. We finally have Radiant Virtue. I don't really like that item. Regardless, we end up over here on the bottom side again. They're contesting our bottom side. Why? Because they know they can, because they have numbers advantage. And we know that they're here because they did the dragon, so why do we even face check it? You see, so if you made the right decision after this great Herald play here, you'd be all over this right now. They couldn't do this because they'd have to reset to hold you, which means if someone does greed, you just collapse now from this side. Numbers advantage, really shove it up. Someone can go split push here with the Mundo with his TP. Game is different, right? Totally different. And that's the whole lesson here. So the chain events or chain effects of your good and bad decisions, yes, that is kind of the summary of one's game. But at the same time, each decision needs to be made in isolation given the moment, right? Because you can't say, well, what if I made decision 85 differently when I made decision 2 differently? Well, if you made decision 2 differently, decision 85 wouldn't exist, right? So you got to factor those things in as well. But hey, a little bit of a collapse here. And again, the big difference for me in this game, now that Fiora splitting top lane, keep an eye on that, is we've just lost our own econ again. Such a common principle with Emerald junglers. Oh, most junglers in general, but really in Emerald, like, they'll get leads and they just don't keep their foot on the pedal enough. Like, they're too forgiving. And macro-wise, you can see it here, too forgiving. Alright, let's see how this game develops a little bit. Okay. Xerath caught the top wave, we're going down here, like, we're not farming. Where are we going? Where are we going? Annie's basing, Xerath's in base, Ashe is basing, the Mundo's bottom lane. There's no reason to be doing this right now. Zero reason to be doing this. Just take your camps, push the wave a little bit, fall back down, you know, wait for your team to come up, and then we can go. Like, I understand what he's doing, but you're not maximizing this vision at all. Like, you could just put this right here, right? The vision ward, Like, it being there is useless at this stage. They're not doing it. And now you're caught out in a rough position. You should be collapsed upon 100%. Ashe, ult! Why? Like those YouTubers who try to go viral with every video, but they've never made a channel in their life. And then these YouTube gurus who've actually had channels for 12 years do it very easily because they know how to make a video. Yeah, it's interesting. But Ashes do the same thing, right? They keep shooting the home runs that mean absolutely nothing, don't provide substance. They keep trying to just shoot arrows that make highlight reels instead of just making good quality Ashe arrows that win games. Much better, right? That's how you build your audience. And in the meantime, we're like, why are we coin flipping it? Like, why would you do the Baron here? Well, we went back way too far, didn't we? Way too far. There we go. Like, you're just, look at the map. Shoved in, neutral, Jarvan's catching this one. Like, I know you see the Jarvan. I know you're like, hey, we can go do this. But, yes, normally, yes. Yes. But there's a Lux on the enemy team, and you guys don't exactly have a real ADC at this stage, and the ADC is the one that's going to dish the damage out. So you don't exactly do it very, very quickly. And at this particular stage, while this is a great pick from the Lux, exquisitely done, the Jarvan can easily walk on over. They have a TP from the Fiora, right? So all that Lux has to do is make one pick and force a fight. Like, I don't want to do it right now with this comp. Now, if I am a Kindred, a Grave, something that can actually rinse this super quick, and I have a Malzahar on my team, things like this, then yes, I want to do it, right? But if you don't do it quickly, and it's 20 minutes on the dot and they can all rotate, then you probably shouldn't be doing it. And if anything, you're doing it to bait them. As soon as Ashe dies, you're out. As soon as Ashe dies, you should leave. Well, that was a cosmic smash from the Aurelian Soul. Jarvan just arrived now. Now, like, should the Jarvan have been bottom? Oh, his EQs. Should Jarvan have been bottom lane? Hell no. Are they doing the Baron because they saw Jarvan bottom lane? Hell yeah. Should they? In theory, but they just don't have the comp to pull it off, and Ashe is too far behind. So what can you do instead? Make a fight. You have 5, they have 4, Jarvan's bot. Make a pick, make a fight. Then you can start the Baron and zone off the Jarvan, right? So this is a big throw. I'm saying it like that because, you know, like, it's a tied game. But, yeah. That's my 2 cents on that, so. Whew, it's a rough one. It's good. These are the good ones, though. These are the good ones because you see the knock-on effect of decisions. You understand where there's a lot left to learn. And you know the big difference between, like, Diamond and Emerald junglers and Challenger junglers, and you can see that, right? If you go watch the Agurin video on my main channel, you'll see exactly what I'm saying. Or the S Plus video with Charisma, you just see how their decisions and flow. There's no stalling, right? It's a good idea of what they want to accomplish. But here it's like they don't really know. They keep wavering on what they actually want to be doing, and they don't really know what they want to be doing. So now, I think, first and foremost, again, as always, as I've said, insofar as, and whatever platitudes you can put into that sentence at the beginning, you just go the long way around. Like, don't ever cut in front here versus pick comp, you know? I don't really care if we win the fight here. I don't care what the Mundo does. I don't care about the results. I don't care about any of this right now. The pathing from the Nunu was terrible, gets caught out and gets killed. The Mundo is trying to 1v9 the game, so again, if you're worried about camping top lane, you can. Yeah, you can. Anyway. Alright, that should be a free dragon, I think, if Ashe goes and does that. Yes, she does. Nunu's decided to show up here as well. With bottom lane, we can push out. Again, you're Nunu, but you can still split push a little bit. Make sure you eat that. There we go. But it kind of looks a little doomed, doesn't it? They're only down 3k gold, but we don't have the same split pressure from the Mundo. Because, okay, yeah, finally. Stop shooting arrows randomly. It doesn't do anything. No one... We are calm. We are totally calm. Yeah, see, the Fiora split push is important. And, you know, the big thing here is you're seeing a lot of mechanical issues as well. Like, we're holding the wave of a turret that's dead while 2 people are bottom lane. Why are we even holding this? Just give it up. Give it up and kill Fiora, man. Like, give it up, kill Fiora. At least you have numbers advantage in some capacity now. And now with Mundo, you can run them down. The Nunu, while the Ashe is trolling, the Nunu is more and more looking like the absolute reason we didn't win this game. Should have shadowed the Mundo top lane and given up that dragon earlier. Shouldn't have forced his Baron unnecessarily and should have taken his camps and just looked for some macro pick plays first. Shouldn't have paused in front of people in front of this turret twice and died. His deaths are costly. His deaths are very costly because Mundo's fed, Xerath's fed. He could do quite a he could do quite a lot for his team. But he's never alive to do anything. And that is a big problem. Now, nothing actually happens for a while. Until here. We have a bit of a nice engage. We don't need to rewind that. It's pretty obvious what happened. Any happened with Nunu following. TP from the Mundo. Huge cosmic cloud of interstellar explosions from the Aurelian Soul. Crossed my degree a little bit there, but whatever. It's okay. And now we have the lead. Is it a lead? Like it's 3k. It's really small, but Sivir is splitting. We just don't have the same split pressure. And that's why that macro moment for me was so important. Nunu goes in. Get the kill. Baron is available. They have a couple people dead. Ashe actually kills the Lux. Amazing. Now we want to do the Baron, right? Because, yes, Sphincter is alive. The Jarvan, whatever his name might be. But there you go. Nice arrow. See, this is the problem. She hits one or two like that and she thinks, okay, look, I'm doing the right thing. Never was. Never was. But those were good arrows. We give credit. So now the Baron means we can hold. Okay, cool. Let's see if we can actually do that. Their whole team is up. Dragon's up. We might have to give it up. And we don't want to let them down. Oh, Mundo. Fiora vs. Xerath. See, what Xerath should be doing is he should be here as well with us. Okay, we want to peel for the Annie and the Ashe, obviously, as much as we can. But it really is such a cockblock, irritating champion. Fiora's going all in on the Xerath in the bottom wave. See, this is where you really just don't want to end up in games like this. Xerath should be with us, but... Now, people look at this and be like, Xerath, why are you dying in base, Xerath? There's a dragon here, Xerath. Well, guess what? Nunu players, or anyone who plays supportive and has lower econ here, doesn't have the same carry potential, just go help the Xerath. Because unless you can win that dragon fight categorically, don't even bother. Because you dying here for this dragon means you can almost lose the game. So don't. Just kill the Fiora, right? Kill the Fiora and give up the dragon. It's only the third one. No stress. You have the Baron. Push up waves. Yes, you're Nunu, but you can still have macro. You can still have macro. So as soon as you see this and you look at this, you should be kind of going, okay. Maybe not. And yes, maybe not is, in fact, what we should be saying. So they're going to try and end the game here, although if they're watching back timers, they know it's going to be quite difficult to do so. Xerath at a base can launch those shots. Huge amounts of damage. They should have just reset, honestly, and all gone bot lane. But hey, they have time to do that. Mundo gets a kill. There you go. And now, again, nothing happens until this moment right here. They all group up, 2 inhibs down. Don't think we have any delusions about how this game is going. This is a very equal gold game. But the game isn't equal at all in terms of players and how the gold's being used. And that's the most important thing as well. You're just splitting now. That's why you got to do that macro earlier, man. If you're the Nunu, keep her down, keep the pressure up. Don't give her a free split push. Oof. Aurelian Soul's such a disgusting champion, isn't he? Xerath too, but, you know, equal as each other at this point. Well, there you go. I'm on board of this one now. Close up, please, red team. There you go. Very good. Yep. So, you know, don't look at those dragon fights with your Xerath dying top lane and say, if we only had our Xerath, why is he trolling? Because that's not the truth at all, right? The reason we lost the game is all the previous stuff added together, but another good one for the books, I think. A long one, random things happening, definitely an eye-opener for Emerald players. That's what you look like, on average. So if you want to get Diamond, you only have to look better than this. Virkayu to GG for all your good stuff, and as always, I'll see you all in the next one.